So I've been asked to see if I can say a few things that might motivate you guys on the wrestling team. And I got to tell you, some of the things I might share won't be motivating. I mean, because wrestling, our wrestling coach was Rob Ward. I wrestled at Dixie High School. Graduated in '91. My junior year, that was the last year that I did wrestle. I wrestled at 152. Even though in football I was about 180 or so. That was my senior year, so about 170 my junior year, and then would go down to 152 in wrestling. The year turned out very successful, much more successful than I had anticipated, because I had primarily wrestled just to stay in shape for other sports, but ended up winning the state championship my junior year. But I'll tell you, one of the things that Rob Ward, he had all these different sayings around the wall, but one of the things that he'd always say, and I believe it to the core, and that is, you play football, you play baseball, you play basketball, but you don't play wrestling. You wrestle, and wrestling is not play. It is hard work. It's 6 minutes. If you're unfortunate to have to go the whole 6 minutes, it is 6 minutes of just work and work and work. But I'll say wrestling was no question the hardest sport I ever participated in. But there were a few times during the seasons that I desperately wanted to quit, but ultimately knew that I just couldn't do it, because if I did, I thought it would affect the rest of my life. And so in spite of sometimes really, really wanting to quit, pursued through it and kind of persevered, and ultimately it turned out better than I had, like I mentioned before, anticipated. But I will say that I feel like wrestling really helped prepare me for the rest of my life. I felt like it didn't matter what challenges would come my way. If I survived Dixie High wrestling, I could survive anything. And I think that whether that was boot camp or special forces training or a career in finance over the last 10 years, if you know anything about the financial markets. I'm an investment advisor now at a firm called Soltis Investment Advisors. And it's been a challenging decade in the financial markets, but not near as challenging as the 3 months of Dixie High School wrestling my junior year and sophomore year and freshman year and so forth. But after things turned out really well for me in my junior year, I had made some commitments that I didn't wrestle my senior year, because I was focused on baseball and football, two sports that I was fortunate enough to sign a letter, and I was going to play in college. And then right before my baseball season, senior year, fell asleep at the wheel, crashed my truck, broke my neck, and was paralyzed. And that was another huge challenge in my life. But I promise you, I drew on some of those challenging things that came from that wrestling season the year before that helped me really get through. I mean, I knew I could make it through that challenge because of getting through some of the other difficulties that I'd gone through before. So.
Hi, I'm Principal Warren Brooks of Snow Canyon High School, and I'm excited for our new wrestling program. I had the chance to wrestle when I was younger. I started wrestling when I was in 3rd grade. I wrestled through my freshman year in high school. I wrestled at San Juan High School. It's a little 2A school. There was only 2 wrestlers, me and another guy, so I was able to win state. Just kidding. There's at least 3 of us. And the way it's changed my life because it taught me hard work. I remember wrestling with my friend. We'd wrestle afterwards, and he said, "This is too hard," so he quit wrestling, and then his life, everything he did in life was too hard. I learned that if you work hard, you can be successful, and I would encourage anyone to wrestle, because that's where you learn how to endure to the end and make sure you finish strong. Thank you.
Okay, my name's Cody Johnson, and I am a pediatric dentist. And I wrestled at Pineview High School, and I wrestled 189. And wrestling in my life has made a huge difference in what I do. And mainly it's given me the ability to stick to things. And was a lot of times in wrestling that there was days where I didn't think I'd be able to do what we needed to do for the workouts and for the physical demand of it. But mentally you toughen up and you realize that you can stick it out and finish what you started. And that's what it's done for me, and especially trying to get through school. And I did 10 years worth of college and dental school and pediatric training. And I honestly believe if it wasn't for wrestling, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, because it made a huge difference in my life. And just that ability to be mentally tough and know that I can get through things and accomplish things in my life that I think if I wouldn't wrestle that I don't know that I would have been able to do it and have that mental toughness. So wrestling's the greatest thing ever. It's tough and it's hard, but it's awesome, and you'll never regret it.
Okay, it's on.
My name's Wayne Kittrell, and I wrestled at Layton High School, and the weight I wrestled was 167 pounds. Just a little bit information of what wrestling's done for me. I think it's taught me that all things are possible with hard work and a good attitude.
All right, my name is David Whitehead. I am now working as the Washington County Treasurer and a CPA. I have my own accounting practice. I wrestled at Merrill Est High School in California, in Palos Verdes, California. And I started my freshman year at 112 pounds, and I ended my senior year at about 140 pounds. I also wrestled for 3 years at BYU, and I wrestled around, I think it was 142 pounds at that time. Wrestling for me has made the biggest difference in my life, as much as any other activity I can think of. As a high school student, wrestling made the high school experience bearable. It taught me self-discipline, it taught me how to work hard, and I've used that determination in my life now. When times get tough at work or in other aspects, I often draw on the experiences I've learned as a high school and college wrestler to be able to make it through the tough times. I've also helped with Snow Canyon High School Wrestling as a coach for the past 5 years, and then actually for 3 years before that in the late 90s and early 2000s. I think wrestling is the greatest sport there is, and I think a person can learn more from wrestling than they can a lot of times in the classroom to prepare them for their life later on.
My name's Kason Gubler. I just recently returned from serving a mission. I'm going to school and working right now. I wrestled at Snow Canyon High School, 285 heavyweight. I was a state champion my senior year. And what wrestling's done for me is it's helped me to, I guess, look past the hard times in life, because practices are real tough, but you know the goal that's in the end, and so it gives me a better perspective on life and kind of more respect for the difficult things that people and myself will go through.
Done.
All right, my name is Jared Carson. Originally, I went to high school, East High School up in Salt Lake City. I wrestled at 171 pounds my senior year. I also wrestled for Brigham Young University at 184 pounds, and then I wrestled at Northern State at 197 pounds. Wrestling's been it's just been a great sport for me. It applies every day of my life, and I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy coaching the kids and being a part of and giving back.
My name is Eric Hafen. I was a student at Snow Canyon High School. I wrestled 135 and made it to the state championships. What has wrestling done for me? I learned so many lessons during my time as a wrestler, but probably the most important thing it did for me was give me confidence. Each practice was a challenge. Here are the ABCs of wrestling that I learned. Attitude. Wrestling taught me to have a winning attitude. Each practice and each wrestling match was a mental and physical battle, and by overcoming those challenges, I have more confidence in myself and my ability to achieve. Buff. I felt like I was always a decent athlete, but I was always a little scrawny. Wrestling helped me build muscle in a way I'd never been able to do before. Commitment. While wrestling might seem like an individual sport, I feel a special bond with my wrestling friends. as we committed to make each other better in the wrestling room and didn't let each other fall short on those commitments.
What's wrestling done for you? How has it impacted your life?
Made me sweat a lot.
Good. Are you getting all this?
Yep.
That was a good sport. Taught you discipline, how to motivate yourself. It was a good sport. We had really good coaches, 2 really good coaches when I wrestled. And it was, coaching has a big impact. Is this for Nick? Is that what,
For the
is that
boys.
who I'm supposed to be buttering up here?
And the boys, yeah.
Oh. Making it sound.
But that's definitely hard. You got to push yourself. You know, the coach is there just to help you, but you got to push yourself a lot. No one else on the mat with you. It's just you and your opponent. So it comes down to what you've learned and how far you're willing to push yourself.
And what did you take state? You took state you took state
Yeah.
as a
Sophomore.
sophomore
What
in
weight?
Nevada. Yeah.
130.
Nice.
Okay. This is Kyle Whitaker, Coach Lang's brother-in-law.
My name is Miguel Anaya. I was a student at Snow Canyon High School. I wrestled 119 and took 3rd in state. I'm currently in Afghanistan trying to save the world from terrorists. Wrestling did make an impact in my life and has brought me to where I am now. Through wrestling, I amplified my knowledge of self-worth, respect, honor, courage, sacrifice, teamwork, and the will to endure. Some of the greatest moments of my life were on the wrestling mat, being able to learn a skill that very few have the privilege of learning and honoring those skills to become a champion amongst men, a dream that all young men should have and attempt to achieve.
Job Warden. Never stepped on a wrestling mat until I was a 10th grader. And that was because my football coach told me that wrestling would be the best, that it would benefit this program more than basketball. And I had played basketball my whole life. So I got into wrestling and quickly learned that I didn't know a lot. And I got beat up at the time. During the years that I went through high school, there were 5 individual state champions that I wrestled with every day. And there were days when I had both eyes blacked. And there were days that I ended up crying. There were days I was so tired I couldn't get my shirt off. At any rate, the things that I learned from wrestling gave an outlet for me for discipline. And I fell in love with the technique of the whole thing. And so that has been a passion for me for years and years and years.
My name is Troy Keith. I'm actually from Ohio. I'm a newbie around here in Utah. I've only been here for 1 year. I wrestled in high school at a high school called Meadowbrook High School. I actually wrestled in college at the University of Pittsburgh. I was All-American there in 1993. What wrestling means to me is everything. I've been involved since 7th grade. I'm now 40 years old and I'm still involved with it as much as I can be. I have 2 boys. They are 9 and 10, and I encourage them to wrestle every day because I feel it teaches life lessons more than anything I've ever been around.
Okay. Dr. Todd Perry here in St. George. I wrestled at Brandon High School in Florida at the 145 weight class, and then wrestled at BYU at the 151 weight class. What has wrestling done for me? I think wrestling is the greatest sport ever to teach you to be self-driven and to motivate you and to take full responsibility for everything you do, whether it's a success or a failure. You've got no one else to put that on. So it's a great sport for that and teaching personal responsibility and really giving you the opportunity to be self-driven and be successful at that. And that will carry through to other things in life.
This is John Entz. I wrestled at Snow Canyon from 97 to 2000. I wrestled at 189 my senior year and took 3rd in state. I guess thinking back what wrestling did for me, it really helped me. You're the only one out there on the mat, the team's counting on you, and it really helped me gain confidence in who I am, that I can do anything if I put my mind to it, if I work hard enough. I had I guess the guy growing up, or when I started as a freshman, there was always I never made it to varsity until later in my I guess wrestling career. But there was always someone ahead of me that really pushed the limits, that worked as hard as he could. Even in warm-ups, was sprinting the whole time, making sure he was in shape. And it really helped me to be the best I could be. And I'm grateful that I was able to spend the time in the wrestling room, and even when it was 100 degrees in there and it was hard, helped me to know I can get through anything.
My name is Nick Lang. I'm the new head wrestling coach here at Snow Canyon High School. Wrestling has taught me things that I have used in my entire life. There are things that I learned in the wrestling room and on the wrestling mat that I could never have learned in any classroom setting. I learned about what it really means to never give up. You hear people talk about it, but to actually experience that, to be in a situation where the odds seem insurmountable and there's nothing you can do about it, but you hang in there and you never quit to the very end, and good things can happen. I've learned that from wrestling. I've also learned how to have a good attitude. How, sometimes things go your way, sometimes things don't. But that's okay. You have a positive attitude and you come back at it the next time. Being introduced to the sport of wrestling is one of the best things that has ever happened to me. It is a part of my life. It's in my blood. As a young boy, my brother, when he introduced me to wrestling, he would tell me that whether I believed I could or couldn't, I was probably right. And I found that so true. I found matches that I probably had no business winning because I believed I could. And that translates to every aspect of my life. And there's been things that I faced in my life that, because of wrestling, I was able to get through that. And I hope as a coach that the young men that I get to work with, that I can teach them things in the wrestling room and on the mat that will translate to other areas of their life, that to help them succeed, teach them things other than wrestling, how to be a champion at all times and in all places. So I definitely look forward to this great experience. I love the sport and what it can do for all the kids I work with.